Yo, what is going on, y'all? V-Rob here. Today, what we are going on, I'll be giving you guys my 2019-2020 NBA season preview for the Utah Jazz. Obviously, this offseason, in my opinion, the Jazz had one of the best offseasons out of any other team in the league. Signing Mike Conley is going to be a huge upgrade for this team, but in this video, we're going to break down their 2018-2019 season, talk about Donovan Mitchell, talk about the moves they made this summer, and give you guys my expectations and my preview for this team. Without further ado, let's get it, let's go. And this is the 2020 Utah Jazz. Looking at last season for the Utah Jazz, they actually won 50 games last year with a record of 50-32 and finished 5th in the Western Conference. Going into the NBA playoffs, they did lose in 5 games to the Houston Rockets in the first round. This was actually the second consecutive season they played the Rockets in the first round. So they've been kind of on the unfortunate side of matchups in the first round. But looking at a starting lineup of last year, they had Ricky Rubio, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Derek Favors, and Rudy Gobert. This starting lineup and this team as a whole finished 17th in the league for points per game, and with opponent points per game at 4th in the league, with just allowing 106 points per game a night. Donovan Mitchell's sophomore year was something that we had to look at, also giving you 24, 4, and 4 a night, 43% from the field, 36% from the 3, and 81% from the free throw line. After the All-Star break, he heated it up, y'all. After only averaging 23 a game going into the All-Star break, the last 27 games of the season, he gave you 27, 5, and 5. Now taking a look at the offseason for the Utah Jazz, notable players they did lose were Ricky Rubio, Jay Crowder, Alec Burks, and Grayson Allen. Obviously, those 4 right there, 4 key players from their team last season, but looking back, they got a major upgrade, and players at the game were Jeff Green, someone that gave you 12 points a night last year with the Wizards. Trayvon Blewett was on the Pelicans for a little bit last year, was on a 10-day contract, played a little bit in the summer league for them, but played 4 years at Xavier, gave you 19 a game his senior year. He was a very, very popular guard here in Cincinnati. Bojan Bogdanovic, someone from the Indiana Pacers who gave you 18 a night last year, and after Oladipo went down in January, averaged 21 a game. One of the best scoring forwards in the NBA. Like I said, a 20-point-per-game scorer. Also shot 50% from the field and 43% from 3, so he can knock it down. You saw what he did against the Cavaliers in 2018. When I wouldn't say he got in LeBron's head, but he got in my head. He was very annoying. He's a very solid defender. He's not that athletic, but he's kind of like the Joe Ingles role, where he would try and get in your head mentally. They also signed Emmanuel Mudiay, who last year with the New York Knicks only played 59 games but gave you 15 points a night. And then obviously their biggest signing, not their biggest signing, but their biggest trade piece that they got was Mike Conley, giving you 21, 6, and 3 last year with the Memphis Grizzlies. And we obviously know Mike Conley is still one of the best defending / playmaking guards in the NBA. We saw what he was able to do with him and Marc Gasol there in Memphis, carrying them to the playoffs a few seasons. Mike Conley still one of the best defending guards in the league at only 6'1". He can still defend, he can still play making, still give you over 20 points a night. Offseason grade for this team, you obviously have to give them an A or an A+, in my opinion. The only way they could have done better is if they landed one of the big-name free agents such as Kawhi Leonard. But as a whole, this is an unbelievable offseason. A lot of moves, a lot of questionable moves, but in my opinion, will all turn out perfect for this team. Looking at lineups for this team, we're going to start off with my projected starting lineup for this squad. Obviously, we got to start off with Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt. In my opinion, this is one of the 3 best backcourts in the NBA. The only 2 I find better when healthy are the Warriors with Steph and Clay, and then the Rockets with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Going on to the front court, you have Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Ingles, and Rudy Gobert. Right there, you have to think of it like this. Last year, they were a top 4 defensive team in the NBA with Ricky Rubio and Derek Favors. Now you take those 2 out and add Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic. I mean, right there, in my opinion, that should put you in a position where you should be a much better team from last season and much better defensive team. I mean, looking at that front court, looking at that back court, such a solid team right there. Lots of shooting, lots of scoring, lots of defense, lots of interior defense. As a whole, I'm so impressed with the starting lineup. Now going on to the bench, obviously things that we noticed over the past few years, especially with the Toronto Raptors last season, is how important a bench or depth can be on a team. So looking at this team's bench, you have Emmanuel Mudiay, Dante Exum, Jeff Green, Royce O'Neal, and Ed Davis. Those 5 right there give you a lot of scoring, a lot of three-point shooting, a lot of athleticism. I am really excited to see how Emmanuel Mudiay does with this team. Like I said, I think he's one of the most slept-on guards in the league, averaging 15 a game last year at the New York Knicks. This is his best season by far out of his 4-year career. I want to see how he does, and if he can stay healthy this year, I think he's going to really add a lot to this team. What to watch this season? First of all, obviously the Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell duo. We saw his first 2 years in Utah. We always thought, what would Donovan Mitchell be like with a better point guard than Ricky Rubio? Now you have Mike Conley there, an excellent playmaker, an excellent defender. I think their two games are really going to complement each other, and I think this year you're going to see a big growth in Donovan Mitchell. Number 2, I talked about this a little bit. Are they the best defensive team in the league? Like I said, with the numbers last year, with the squad they had last year, and in my opinion, they improved their roster entirely from the starting lineup to the bench lineup. I think this team is so much better built for this season as compared to last season. I'm expecting them to be the #1 ranked defensive team in the league. Right up there with the Clippers, right up there with the Sixers, any other team that you can think of. Number 3, I touched about this in number 1, but Donovan Mitchell's junior/3rd season in the NBA. We saw last year, especially at the start, we thought Donovan Mitchell would have a better year. He kind of had a sophomore slump, a lot like what Jason Tatum had at the majority of last season. I want to see how he responds. Donovan Mitchell gave me 24, 4, and 4 last year. Obviously, there are more scores on this team as opposed to last year, but I want to see the growth. I want to see a better shooting percentage. I want to see that shooting percentage go up from 43% to somewhere maybe in like 45 or 46. I want to see the three-pointer up from 36 to possibly 38. I want to see improvement, and I think with Mike Conley there, the veteran leadership that Mike Conley brings just to the locker room, I think we're going to see the personal growth of Donovan Mitchell as well as on the floor. Now it is time for my expectations for this team. Now, obviously, looking at the Jazz of the past 2 seasons, they have got bounced in the first round both years by the Houston Rockets. This year, in my opinion, I expect them to remain as the number 5 seed in the Western Conference, win around 50 games. I think they might improve to like 53. I think the West is going to be very competitive this year. We're going to look at it like the 2010 season when there were like 6 or 7 teams with over 50 wins. But they'll be a top 5 seed. I still see them a tier lower than teams such as the Rockets, the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Nuggets seed-wise. But I think you go into the playoffs, and in my opinion, the only 2 teams that could beat this team in a playoff series is the Lakers and the Clippers for sure. I think a series with the Houston Rockets would be so interesting with the history of the Utah Jazz and Russell Westbrook, James Harden. I mean, you got Mike Conley now, a very solid defending guard. You have Joe Ingles who can get in your head. I think that would be just showtime. What do I want to call it? It would just be a very, very energetic series. But in my opinion, I think they will match up with the LA Lakers for the 4-5 matchup and lose in the first round. But this season as a whole, I have very high expectations for this team. I expect Donovan Mitchell to take a very huge step in the right direction of becoming a top 10 player in this league, which I see him being in a few years. I could see him averaging around 27 a game, but as a whole, as a result, this Utah Jazz team will be better than last season, but I still think with the upgrade in the Western Conference and teams like the Lakers and the Clippers, I see them losing in the first round to the Lakers. And that will do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe. If you guys aren't new, thank you so much for support. Cannot thank you enough. If you guys have any suggestions about any of my videos, if you guys have any predictions about the Utah Jazz especially, make sure to comment them down below. Like I said, this is a very interesting team and a really exciting team to talk about. With the moves they made this summer, they are a completely different team. I still expect a lot of greatness from them. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, expecting a lot from y'all. But all love 2019. Thank you guys so much for watching. Veer us out this thing. NBA season approaching. Peace. Let's get it. Let's go.